Dyrus, congratulations on finding your first win of the tournament over LGD Gaming. And now they are 0-3 and you are 1-2. How do you feel now that you've actually triumphed over the Chinese team?
It's great. Not so much that, not so much in a way where like, yeah, they're last and we're not. It's more of a relief that we were able to beat them, and our chances of making it out of groups go up significantly, but it's still very low.
Now you guys are 1-2, as I did say. I think 4-2 is kind of a realistic target if you're hoping to make it out of this group, since KT Rolster and Origin are both 2-0. You guys have those 3 games coming up next week. What's sort of the your mentality going into those 3 games coming up?
So our mentality, or I guess all of our mentalities, is if we get a lead early game, we need to snowball and play consistently. If we don't do that, just like in the first 2 losses, we're not going to make it.
And in that sense, is that why you took the Mordekaiser when it was open, because of the snowballing potential of that champion?
We just took it because it's broken. There's no secret behind it. Every team plays it. Mordekaiser is just broken.
Now, it's pretty clear that the Chinese teams are suffering. LGD 0-3, IG 0-2. There's been some speculation that perhaps their practice wasn't as good as it could have been. Some of the LGD players were pretty vocal about the fact that they weren't necessarily taking it as seriously as they could have been. Yeah. In your experience scrimming, if you did, those Chinese teams, what was that like for you?
So we did scrim one of those Chinese teams. I won't say any information, but we did get some good practice out of them. And coming into Worlds, it's not about who's the best at the start. Like, China may have been like the best coming into the tournament because they won MSI, because they're the favorites. But it's not about who's the best. It's about who can become better to be the best. And that kind of mindset is really important. And if they are suffering, then they probably slacked off slightly, because I probably would too if I was considered the best.
When I spoke to Double Lift after he watched Cloud9 beat AHQ on the opening day of this tournament, he said he felt it was an increase of pressure on CLG to perform up to that level. Now, watching both CLG and Cloud9 go 2-0 and you guys row 2, did you guys feel sort of a pressure to find that win?
Honestly, we don't feel any pressure from just that. We're just like, good for them, At least we won't hear stuff about NA being bad, and if we're the only ones who did bad and they do good, then great. Like, we still want to win in the end, but if we're going to choose anyone that we would want to win, it would be someone from our region, because it also proves our significance where, we're the second seed in this region. We got 3-0'd by the first place team and they did really well, and NA isn't a bad region. We're just having growing pains in terms of eSports and infrastructure.
I wanted to ask you just a little bit more in depth about the game that we just had. Was you picked Darius, which is a champion that's had a lot of pick ban rate. I think it's near 100%, but has actually had some pretty bad games and hasn't found that much success so far. Why did you feel Darius was good for this situation, and why do you think it's been sort of had mixed results of this event?
So I feel like people have been over-prioritizing Darius, not because Darius is bad as a champion, but he's one of those champions where you play for early game. You know how there's early game champions, mid game, and late game. Darius is extremely strong early to mid, that where if he's just slightly ahead, he'll just stomp the game. But the thing is, on stage, people are much, much more afraid to, snowball the game, make proactive plays, and it showed yesterday in our play when we got slightly ahead, we just didn't go through with it. So it isn't so much the champion, it's the people playing around the champion.
Now, LGD brought out some unusual champions of their own, which is kind of nothing new at this event. Were you guys prepared for sort of the brand support and the Nunu, which is sort of a little bit different for TBQ?
So when all the junglers were banned, we didn't have any idea what he was going to pick. We were kind of expecting more of an Evelyn, because since he's so good at Lee Sin, he probably knows how to snowball the game through that. But then he just literally picked Nunu to literally throw snowballs at us in the game. So I didn't know what to expect. I just knew those 2 champions weren't that common and they weren't that strong. Although the brand support is something very cheesy and has very strong magic damage, but he's just not picked a lot because it's uncommon. It's not that those picks can't work. It's more that it's just really out of the meta.
Now that you found your first win of the tournament, you're going to go back and play all 3 teams again. What do you need to do to sort of carry your momentum forward into next week?
So for me individually, I just need to stop getting caught and actually call for help when I need it, when I'm supposed to be calling for help, and then not playing team fights horribly. As a team, we need to play team fights better, and when we get a lead, we need to capitalize on it instead of farming all game and doing nothing and slowly losing.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.